I wanted to address a question that came in to me from a client recently about timing of nutrition for cardio versus resistance training. So the first thing I want to touch on is resistance training is exhausting muscle fiber so that it can repair and grow. So just like anything else to repair and grow, we need to fuel it. It needs to have energy. So that's when we want to take in, when we do resistance training, we want to start our session with plenty of glycogen in our system so that our muscles can use it as we exhaust them. And then we want to fuel afterward to replenish anything that we did use. We just want to make sure there's a constant load of glycogen to build and repair that muscle. Now, for cardio, we don't need that to take place. So cardio is literally depletion. It's depleting it's going to put you in a deficit. We're going to lower your caloric intake for that day. Instead of by cutting your calories by 250 or 500 per day, we're going to give you an expenditure of 250 to 500 calories per day. So at the end result is a caloric deficit. So logically, you would think that for cardio, then you would go into it fasted so that as you use your energy, as you use your body to perform the cardio, it's going to automatically tap into fat. There's a lot of scientific data that is for or against that argument. Recently, something came out that I credit relatively highly that suggests that in a case study, there was actually no difference in fat loss between the fasted and the non-fasted participants. Personally, I don't ever do fasted cardio. I don't support fasted cardio. If people want to do it, it makes them feel good about themselves, go for it, judgment free. But I personally work at a higher intensity when I am fueled. So that means I'm going to work harder. When I do cardio at the end of the day, when I've been, eating all day and functioning, I can go so much harder and longer in those intervals. As opposed to if I get up first thing in the morning and drag my sleepy butt to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning, I have nothing in the tank. Even with a protein shake before getting on the step mill, it's tricky. I definitely work harder with more in me. So naturally, when you work harder, you burn more. So take that as you will. My recommendation personally is to not do it fasted. If I'm going to do cardio and it's a cardio only day, there's no resistance training, then I'll do it, it doesn't really matter what time of day you do it. I like to do it in the morning to get it out of the way. And I'll just have a protein shake before I go. And afterward, I'll just eat at my next interval. Timing isn't really important because I don't need to restore the muscle to glycogen because there wasn't any activation really. It was really an expenditure of my caloric intake. So now when you're going to do resistance training on cardio the same day, I always suggest doing resistance training first because you do need to pay attention to your nutrient timing for that. It's just best to spend the majority of your carbs around that training window. That's when you have the fires are burning. You're definitely more you're definitely more heated and ready to use that energy. That's the best place to put them, as opposed to later in the day when you're just kind of hanging around, not doing much. I'm not saying that eating carbs later in the day is bad for you, not even remotely, but it's just smarter to put it in front of and behind to work a training window. So if you're going to do cardio on the same day, I wouldn't do it at the end of that session because what you're doing is you're fueling for resistance training. So you're adding carbs for that resistance training and then your resistance training. And then the goal is to then fuel relatively shortly after. There's no magic window, but then if you're going to go and do cardio, then you're depleting yourself further. So you're putting yourself into a deficit. You can't build muscle with a deficit. So it sure is a lot harder. So what I do when I'm in prep is I will do my resistance training. I'll fuel for it. I'll go home. I'll eat. And then I will do my cardio later in the evening. 4 to 5 hours is a sufficient break if you can do it, if you want to do it. And then do your cardio later. Don't worry about fueling. Just time your meals as per usual. The cardio won't have any influence on your meal timing at all. As far as that goes, I definitely prefer to do cardio on its own day. I don't like to combine them, but we're busy. Things happen. I think I've covered all the topics regarding this, but if you have any other questions about meal timing, then please feel free to let me know.